Jack, introduce a few things. And
Yes, my name's Jack McArtney, and I work in our content and advertising standards role at Verizon and Verizon Wireless. And we came upon this area just out of evolution. We started, as many of you know, as just a mobile phone company, and that evolved into a lot of person-to-person messaging services. In fact, I launched text messaging for Verizon 10 years ago, and none of this was in our mind's eye when we were thinking about how this service might be used. We have built a three-pronged approach towards how we deal with the broad issue of online safety, and that is that, first and foremost, we work with raising awareness with our consumers about the issues themselves. We provide access to third-party experts that can give them advice on how to deal with challenges. And then the third piece is that we work with offering a series of tools that consumers can use to manage their own experience. I think Dana's introduction really brought home a critical point, and that is that in almost every circumstance, the notion of what's appropriate or inappropriate is a very personal thing. It's really related on the community that's involved, and that community could be a school, it could be a family. By the way, it could be a so-called functional family or a dysfunctional family. And so there isn't a tool that you can use that just will solve all problems related to online safety, or there's not a tool that you can use that would solve any instance of sexting either. So we work with our consumers, with third-party experts, on trying to present all of these issues to our consumers, give them advice, and give them tools. The primary place that we dispense that advice is our educational website. It's called Parental Control Center. It's www.parentalcontrolcenter.com. And there we showcase information about the parental control tools that we have. We showcase advice from leading experts in the industry on how to deal with various topics. Sexting is one of them. And we also have a place where our customers and others can communicate with one another, share ideas, share stories, perhaps share solutions. What we're seeing as a great change in how content filters and parental controls are being approached is that in the past, they were very much a block, some kind of a piece of content, whether it's a program, an application, a song, whatever the so-called inappropriate content might be. We gave tools to parents so that they could make those individual decisions for their family. And what we're now seeing is a shift in what content filters or parental controls needs to be. And that's software that helps parents, caregivers, advisors, whomever, monitor the activity that their loved one is participating in to help them learn. And I think one of the great challenges that we have as industry now in the very near future is how do we teach our young consumers how to use these services responsibly? How do we teach parents, educators, caregivers how to teach just that? And what other types of tools will help them do that? But also keeping in mind that regardless of the tools that we deploy, nothing is more effective than a caring person talking to someone else. And I think that's really our greatest challenge, is how do we facilitate that conversation so that at-risk children are asking questions, seeking advice from people that have good advice. And also, kind of as you said, not just throwing the book at them, but using these as opportunities to understand why people are engaged in that behavior and helping them to try and correct it.
okay. Thanks, Jack. Michelle?
My name is Michelle Chisholm,
Is she on?
and I'm a manager in the Community Affairs Department at Sprint. In corporate social responsibility is the division that I'm in. So I specifically focus on the educational side of these issues. In 2007, we launched an online website. It's the number 4 and then netsafety.com. And we have information on there all about internet safety issues, sexting, cyberbullying, all sorts of different things. And what we did is we partnered with 3 nonprofit organizations, so the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the NEAHIN, which is the National Education Association Health Information Network, and also the Boys and Girls Club, to create educational tools in different ways for different people. So we have online games that kids can go on and play, and then they learn how to change their privacy settings and how quickly information can spread in a fun manner that engages them. And then we also have downloadable lesson plans that a teacher could go on the website and just download a PowerPoint presentation that she could give directly to her class. There's online videos. We have one on sexting that takes place in a science class, and it's called Mitosis. And it's in a science class where the kids are learning all about mitosis and how cells divide and multiply. And then it's real neat. They show how the same thing can happen with texting, and how information can so quickly multiply out of your control when that was never your intention in the first place, and how you lose control of that information. So we have just all sorts of ways to kind of get that conversation started. We also have information for parents out there. We kind of walk them through, lots of parents aren't even aware of all the capabilities that their children have on their cell phones. Are you aware that they can take a picture and it can be uploaded to Facebook, and they can tag their friends and it's on their friends' pages and their friends can see it? And lots of times parents aren't even aware of how quickly the information can disseminate either, so they don't have the correct conversations with their children. So we do have parental controls in place, and on our feature phones where you can block texting and block access to the internet and things like that, and third-party applications on our smartphones that have a variety of different things. But we really believe that pairing that with education is going to be the best way to really address the issue comprehensively.
Okay, thanks a lot. That was actually a perfect way to introduce the topic even more in depth from the 3 of you. And Dana, I'm going to ask you a question to set up the next question more. What's the difference in stats between kids engaged in sexting? And when I'm talking about sexting, if you separate out actual image transfer versus talking about it in a sexually suggestive way between adults and kids.
Right. So the numbers actually become really tricky to tease out. So I'm going to give you, my favorite numbers are the Pew Internet and American Life Project, because of how they actually do, they're very rigorous in their methodology. They have found that 4% of young people ages 12 to 17 have created a sexual image, and it's a higher rate with the older group, so it's around 8% for the older group and a smaller rate for the younger group. But about 15 to 20% have actually consumed it of the 12 to 17 population. You will find, and this is of nude or semi-nude images. And the reason I point this out is this is going to be your baseline low number, right? There are going to be other reports that are going to go much higher than all of this because of what they capture. And once you actually start including bikini photos, once you start including even sexualized bikini photos, once you start including images that are texts that's sort of sexy, the numbers just start to skyrocket. So it becomes really variable. What's interesting to me is that Pew has also done the same survey with adults who have very similar rates. And this is for adults ages 18 all the way up, and I don't remember what their cap is. And not surprisingly, it is highest among adults in their 20s. And one of the things that scholars have started to find, which sort of maps out in all this, and Anthony Weiner has made my life very difficult lately, but one of the things that starts to map out in the data is that the highest rates are people who are engaged in active dating, or whether they're single, which is the primary case, or whether they're cheating, which is the alternate case. And so it actually parallels practices to online dating usage. So basically, people who are adults who are flirting and engaging it have the highest rates. And so when you actually partition that out, the numbers get extraordinarily high, because those who are actually dating as adults tend to do this in large numbers, and the only precursor seems to be their ability to use their cell phone to actually capture images.
So what happens when you get married?
When you get married and you're not cheating, the numbers go down really fast. Unfortunately, cheating tends to do some really interesting things. So the percentage of people that actually send a nude or semi-nude image to their actual wife or husband is really low, but other people starts to get high.
Okay, so that then raises another question, which is this, and this is for any of you. If that is the case where adults are doing this, and as you said, pretty high numbers, even higher than what you're seeing from kids. Why did everyone panic 4 or 5 years ago? And what caused that panic? Or who caused that panic?
So there was an interesting moment where we actually have panics that, excuse me, sir? There are different panics that happen at different points in time. Sexual predators actually sort of had a peak, and sexting came in on the tail of the sexual predators conversation. So it's important to realize that for a long time, a lot of people thought that the sexting component was not actually between teens. Unfortunately, there are other layers to this, and it's important to acknowledge that child pornography is a huge component of the issues around this. So even if an 11-year-old might take a picture of themselves sexy for, what we can think of as reasonable reasons, the moment that starts to circulate beyond them, there's reasons to actually panic in a totally different way.